across the line, but Steve Smith knocked it out of his reach, and at center ice it's recovered by Graham. There's Graham. Checked, and here's Lemieux. Stevens up the left side, took the pass and gave it right back. Lemieux with a shot. Balfour his first save. And right center clears the puck off the boards and down the ice. This will be an icing call against Chicago.
Scotty Bowman once again has a team sitting on his bench that doesn't seem to feel pressure. Very calm, really alert. They moved the puck up the ice well in the very first exchange. Ford Roberts moved it out, and then Lemieux took it. The pocket looks like he's ready to play. This is a team that does not overreact. And I think at this stage, Mike Keenan has to be saying to himself, how many goals is enough? 4 certainly would have been enough, you would have thought, before Game 3, and the Blackhawks couldn't even get one. So there's no answer to that question, how many is enough against Pittsburgh, because they can play it any way you want to play it.
If you didn't see Game 1 of the series, keep in mind that Chicago had a 3-0 lead and also a 4-1 lead and lost the hockey game in regulation time 5-4. Game 2 was a 3-1 Pittsburgh victory. Game 3 here Saturday night, 1-0. The Penguins and a bit of a fluke goal. And now Pittsburgh is chased back into its own zone. And Stanton got back down. The Blackhawks come out hitting. Marchment held the puck at the line. Can't get it to anybody in a white uniform, and the Penguins have cleared the zone. Rod Busquets will shoot it right back in, but it hit off Samuelson. Recovered at center, and Busquets plays it around the boards. Barrasso will just leave it this time, and his teammates end up clearing it off the boards and out to center ice. The Hawks had a chance to play it. Now Rob Brown must. Now who has come out with Larmer and Jocelyn Lemieux. Marchment bangs it off the boards. Pack recovers at center ice. He's given it to Shell Samuelson. Up to Troy Loney, and he dumps it in. What will Balfour do? He lets to play it up the boards, and look at the way the Penguins get to it. They set up Yager. Quick shot. He scores! Just like that, the Pittsburgh Penguins, a minute and 37 seconds into the first period, have a 1-0 lead.
And it came off a turnover from Eddie Belfour. The Penguins very patient on the play. Look at them over the board, squeezing it off. There were 3 Penguins. That allowed Jaromir to be the guy that outnumbered the Blackhawks. Here they are. You see 2 Blackhawks, 2 Penguins, and then a 3rd Penguin. Jaromir Jagr. Eddie Belfour could have elected to leave that puck or put it into the other corner. Instead, he dumped it around, and the Penguins anticipated it perfectly.
Yager's 11 on the spring of 92.
Pittsburgh goal scored by Yager, assisted by Loney with 1:30.
Troy Loney gets the only assist on the goal, so it's 1-0 Pittsburgh, a minute and 37 seconds into the opening period. Just what the Blackhawks and especially the fans didn't want to have happen tonight. Larry Murphy has put the puck high up into the seat, so the clock is stopped, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to make a player change, sending out a new defensive combination. They'll be right back. 7th overall, and earlier this evening, out on the ice just before 6 o'clock in a pair of running shoes, no elbow pads. He'd been running all over the ice, just flipping the puck around, off the boards, just handling it.
That's not unusual for this kid. He loves to do that before the game just to get the feel of the ice. I imagine he would rather be on the ice than any place else in the world, almost all day long.
Wouldn't management be concerned about being out there without any protective equipment at all in case he were to fall and split an elbow or whatever?
Not when you've got his balance. Oh, I'm not sure it's that big a concern.
A big goal for Jaromir Jagr, making it 1-0.
Well, he sure anticipated it well. He knew that his guys were going to end up having a pretty good chance to chip it back in deep. And when they chipped it back in, he was the next guy there to get it. You see number 2, Brian Marchment, having to move out? Well, Brian Marchment went behind the net, and Eddie Belfour could have left it for him. That's when a communication breakdown. I mean, Marchment has to call Eddie Belfour out there and say, leave it for me. But Eddie Belfour decided to shoot it, and he shot it right into trouble.
1 goal was enough to win Game 3 of this series. Will it be enough tonight? Dean Smith controls the puck at the blue line for Chicago to the backhand, and he can't get that around Larry Murphy. Evan Stevens moves it out towards center. There's Rick Tocchet, checked by Graham, but up they come. Francis with a long shot off Belfour's blocking glove and on into the seats. Penguins have had 2 shots on Ed Belfour. The Blackhawks have yet to test Tom Barrasso. But it is early in the first period in Chicago.
A couple of lineup changes for Game 4. Scotty Bowman has Bob Airey back in the lineup. He missed game 3 with the shoulder, but Airey is back, and that's good news for Scotty Bowman because he's an excellent utility player, can do a lot for the Penguins. So Dave Mikhailuk comes out. Mike Keenan has exchanged muscle for muscle. Mike Peluso is out for game 4, and Stu Grimson is in.
Mike Keenan searching for ways to get a goal, to get his team back into the series. Mario Lemieux is at center ice. Kevin Stevens on the left, Rick Tocchet on the right. They're out against Brent Sutter's unit for Chicago. They're Graham over on the right side. Now Brian Marchment, the defenseman, jumps up into the play as Sutter gets to the line and was checked by Mario Lemieux. Vasquez covering the Chicago line. Played it through Dirk Graham, and Kevin Stevens moves it back for Pittsburgh. Roberts failed to clear it out. This is Vasquez to the pass to Graham. The Sutter got bumped, got it in front, and it's cleared by Murphy. Vasquez holds it at the point. Vasquez plays it off the boards. Graham trying to center. It did come right out in front, but it's controlled here by Lemieux. Takes a hit. The puck knocked out of the air with a stick over the shoulder level. Some scuffling. Andy Van Helden, tonight's referee, has called the play.
Boy, what an interesting play. The Blackhawks are really forcing. They had 4 guys in deep. They were able to get away with it on that one. But they can't be too anxious in this one.
Out of the air. The stick over the shoulder level making contact with it. The officials have brought the face-off outside the blue line.
What a defensive play Lemieux made when Brent Sutter came down on him. But to me, he was the most underrated defensive player in Game 3.
You know, his hand was really bothering him in Game 3. He has told some of the people around the Penguins and his personal guru that he had trouble holding the stick, let alone shooting the puck. So he came out and skated this morning, which he hasn't done on day of game recently. Sutter with a shot here that's turned aside. Mario reported after the skate this morning that the hand felt a lot better. Chris Chelios gets checked at center ice, checked by Lemieux, and the puck again into the seats. Early in the first period at Chicago Stadium, 1-0. Penguins leading on a goal by Jaromir Jagr.
Well, John Davidson talked in our open about getting some offense from the defense. Chris Chelios, Steve Smith, Brian Marchment has already been in front of the net, and so has Chris Chelios. But when you can score goals against a team that is playing as well defensively as Mario Lemieux and his Penguins, that's one of the first things you go to. You have to end up with an overload on the rush. Bring a defenseman up. Obviously, you are leaving yourselves open to a counterattack, so you have to execute well when you get to the blue line. But Mario Lemieux knows that if Brian Marchment, Steve Smith, Chris Chelios, the Blackhawks defensemen move up on the play to join the rush, that could be a problem for the Penguins. They have to make sure they have enough people back before they worry about their counterattack.
Penguins won the draw at center ice. Ron Francis has tapped it on into the Chicago zone. And Belfort got it onto a teammate stick this time. They tried to come up the left wing boards. Mateau is squeezed into the boards by Francis. And the puck goes loose. Backcourt is Kuchera. Kuchera and Steve Smith on defense as Larmer, Mateau, and Noonan move through center now. The Hawks get to the line. Kuchera pokes the puck wide. So leaves it for Samuelson. Oh, Samuelson up the middle to Francis.
That's the play the Penguins have to make against the Blackhawks because they take the boards away. So the Penguins obviously are taking a peek up the middle to see if they have somebody before they blast it up the boards.
Now they dump it in off the stick of Jim Pack and they complete a player change. Hawks trying to come up the left side. Kuchera puts it in the middle. Here's Roenick over the line. Jeremy Roenick, a man on a mission, but he gets checked. The puck comes to the line, and Roenick is taken to the boards and hauled down by Loney. Play continues. Mache in the center ice area, but the whistle is sounded. It will be for a two-line pass and offside, and no penalty call as Loney wrestled Roenick to the ice. Jeremy Roenick's hand is much better tonight, thank you. So he reported this morning. An update, as you know, only one team in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals come from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. Major League Baseball has never had it happen. It's never happened in pro basketball. Chicago would like to make it the second time round. The puck here skips off the glass and up into the seats. We have played 4 minutes and 16 seconds of this opening period.
Boy, Jeremy Roenick ripped a shot in the warm-up from just inside the blue line, and he got all of it. He is obviously able to play. And apparently he is not having his hand injected. He has taken a couple of painkillers, at least he did for Game 3. We can assume that he may have done that for Game 4 here tonight. But he can shoot. He's ready to play.
He's against Mario Lemieux on this faceoff that's won by Chicago. Hawks set up back in their own zone. Chris Chelios. Right side, and it's cleared out of the zone by Buskus. Roberts drops back. Banked it off the boards, off Bob Berry. Recovered by Mario Lemieux. And he had a man right on him, and that man was Ronick. Dirk Graham dumps it into the Pittsburgh zone. Also plays it to the boards. Roberts up ahead to Yager. Oh, he's hit by Ronick, and Yager is slow to get back to his skates. He's up now and moving as the puck ends up in the Chicago zone. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Buskus with a pass off the boards. Up the head of Ronick. And this will be recovered by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Gordy Roberts parks back to the net. Ian Murphy on defense. Maloney is out with Yager and Brian Trottier. Now an icing call to be made against Pittsburgh after having dumped it the length of the ice.
I think Jaromir Jagr went down trying to draw a penalty. He was hit from behind by Jeremy Roenick, but he got up as soon as he realized that the play wasn't going to be called. But Andy Van Hellemond is a guy that lets players determine the outcome of the game most times, especially at this stage of the season. That means that players have to be careful whether or not they're going to dive. If they dive and it doesn't work, you've got to get back up and get into the play. Here was Roenick just cruising. You could look at the grimace on his face. He knew he was going to make contact about 8 feet from Jagr, and he drilled him from behind. But if you're the guy that goes down and nothing is called, man, you've got to get back into the play.
Long shot from the point here. Rattles around in front of Brasso, and he's able to cover it. He made the initial save, then the puck, one of the few times that it's gotten away from him on any sort of rebound in this series, came right back in front.
And a couple of guys that have been through the wars together, competing for this faceoff. Brent Sutter and Brian Trottier, 2 former Islanders for so many years, and Brent Sutter not only got that, but he deflected on the way to the net. It looked like he got a piece of it. Steve Larmer digging. Look at Brian Marchment. He's number 2 for the Blackhawks. He's right up in front. And Mike Keenan is not only double shifting Jeremy Roenick, but he's moved Marchment up to the left side now. Brian Marchment is a left winger.
He was the man who just stepped in. Where's number 2 for Chicago? And here's the Penguins' number 19, Brian Trottier with a shot off the right pad of Belfort. Loney went for the rebound. In on the play as well as Herdina as he puts it back to the net. Igor Trotchuk up the boards for Marchment, off his stick to Stanton. A long shot tipped in front by Trottier. Recovered and cleared out by Brent Sutter. Here's Larmer, 2-on-2 as Marchment moves in now. High, hard drive came off the glass, and Marchment trying to kick it in deeper. Herdina reaching in, trying to pry it loose. Still no whistle, obviously. A lot of hard work to gain control of the puck. The Penguins do. Oh, Stanton with an outlet. The one off Loney's stick, and Kravchuk covers up at the blue line. Passes to Chelios. Roenick turns, cuts to the left side, tapping his stick on the ice, wanting the pass, and by the time it got there, so was Paul Stanton.
So was Rick Tocchet. You see how quickly the Penguins read that Roenick was winding up and wanting the puck, so they just headed him off.
And the tall centers. Here's Graham with a backhand. He scores!
The Blackhawks have looked to their captain, and he has come through for them. This may be the only way to beat Tom Barrasso. Get your own rebound. Barrasso ate up the first one, but coughed up the rebound. Back to Graham for an easy tap-in.
Dirk Graham's 13th career Stanley Cup playoff goal, his 5th of 92, as you saw. He had another one earlier in the series, and it's tied 1-1, but Lemieux has set up Stevens. Stevens cuts to the backhand, he scores! Evan Stevens, who had the only goal in Game 3, has regained the lead for Pittsburgh.
Really, the more you watch the Pittsburgh Penguins, the more you realize that they are a team that's made of rubber bands. And we looked at Mike Keenan. He appeared to be calling to Dominic Hasek, and that's exactly what he's doing. He is making a goaltending change. Lemieux to Stevens, a one-handed shot right between Eddie Belfour's legs. Call that what you want. Mike Keenan calls it a bad goal. Dominic Hasek is coming in relief of Ed Belfour already. As far as I'm concerned, you've got to make the change. That was a stoppable puck. The Pittsburgh Penguins have regained the lead. You're down 3-0 in a series. Keep in mind, Eddie Belfour may be back in, but what choice does Mike Keenan have tonight in Chicago?
Not one different choice than what he just made. Belfour did not remove the mask. So the goal by Graham with assist to Matteau and Chelios is followed 12 seconds later by Kevin Stevens with an assist to Mario Lemieux, and it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. The Hawks have had 5 shots on goal, the Penguins 4. We still have 13 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in this period. You see the numbers on Dominic Hasek.
I can't help but think back to the Boston series when Kevin Stevens had been quiet for the first couple of games and then walked into Boston and scored for the Pittsburgh Penguins just to seem to have an endless supply of weapons.
They really do. Up 3 games to none in this series, leading 2 goals to 1. There's Chelios firing the Hawks to the right side.
Well, you gotta love this. There is no quit in the Chicago Blackhawks. Chris Chelios knew what he was doing as soon as he got the puck because he had already checked out where Dirk Graham was. And when Graham got to the side of the net, Chelios let him have it. Remember when Eddie Belfour popped one up along the boards to the Penguins? Well, Tom Barrasso has repaid the favor. Back to Chelios, to Graham. 2-2.
Checking the book, 30 seconds between these 3 goals is a new Stanley Cup Final playoff record. The old one was 31 seconds, set by the Philadelphia Flyers in the series with Edmonton in 1985. Well, more history made. The first Stanley Cup Final game in June, and 3 in 30 seconds. Don't leave your seats, folks. Tied 2-2 at Chicago Stadium. Big hit by Alt Samuelsson, knocking Noonan down in front. There'll be a penalty to Samuelsson. He turns away from Chelios after the whistle, but Alt Samuelsson has drawn the first penalty of this game. The score is tied 2-2 in Chicago. We'll pause now for a regional break. Game 4 of the...
Alt Samuelsson decided to assert himself, and man, did he ever. That was the trip on Brian Noonan, so he was getting a penalty, and did he ever steamroll Chris Chelios right after that? He figured if I'm getting one, I want to go ahead and take somebody. He went right for Chelios. And Chris Chelios retaliated on the play. Nothing happened on that, and Samuelsson looked like he wanted a piece of Romick when he went by him.
Number 22, Paul Stanton, a 10-minute misconduct penalty.
Paul Stanton has drawn a misconduct penalty as well as Samuelson's interference call.
At 7:28.
And Greg Gilbert is in the Chicago side of the penalty box.
Gilbert will give a misconduct penalty at 7:28.
He too has drawn a 10-minute misconduct penalty. So it's a 1-man advantage in favor of the Blackhawks. That was a result of the interference penalty on Alt Samuelsson in Chicago. Tied 2-2 here. Up they come. Chelios, after taking the pass from Kravchuk, dumps it into the corner. Rebound to Rowan. Rounds the net. Can't find anybody open. Now Chelios wheels it across. Kravchuk at the right point. In around the boards. Noonan lets it go to Jeremy Roenick. Turns it back toward Larmer. Larmer nudged it away from Larry Murphy, but Shell Samuelsson is back, and he is checked immediately. Noonan takes him to the boards. Larmer digs the puck loose. Can't get through all the Penguins, however, and Mario Lemieux works it to the left wing boards, and then up they come. Murphy is over the line. Larry Murphy can't get around Kravchuk, but he is knocked down by Kravchuk, and elbow thrown. Chelios got the elbow. And the penalty at least, and referee Andy Van Helleman sends Chelios to the box as Skip Thayer comes out to attend to Larry Murphy.
Boy, did he ever catch him. And it looked like it might have been right below the helmet on his neck. Well, this is how Game 3 finished, with Chris Chelios standing over Larry Murphy when Larry was down. And as Murphy was being pushed back out of the play by Kravchuk, Chris Chelios got him from behind with the elbow. Murphy's up, appears to be all right, but he took a pretty good lick in the back of the head. So Chris Chelios has negated another man advantage for the Chicago Blackhawks. He did that at the tail end of Game 3 when Belfour was pulled by taking the 5. And now he negates the power play. which had a minute and 11 seconds to go in it. And after the teams play at 4 skaters aside, Pittsburgh will have a 49-second power play.
On that second Chicago goal, Kirk Graham getting his second of this game. The only assist was credited to Chris Chelios. Chelios was instrumental as well in the goal that Graham had scored. Chelios for elbowing at 8:17 is the penalty. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone. Kirk Graham talking with referee Andy Van Hellemond. Sutter and Graham with Smith and Kravchuk. For Pittsburgh, it's going to be Phil Bourque, Bob Airey, Gordy Roberts, and Larry Murphy. Chicago winning the draw. Sutter has set up Steve Smith, who parks back to the net. Kravchuk turns, goes up the right wing board. Smith carries the puck toward the blue line, then had to turn away from Phil Bourque. They'll shoot it in from center ice. Barrasso lets it go around to the right side through Graham, back to Kravchuk. The Blackhawk defenseman ripped one wide. Now Smith parks at the left point, starts in with it. The sliding Phil Bourque went down, but couldn't trap the puck. Smith gives it to Graham. Graham into the corner for Sutter, brings it back to the line. Set up Kravchuk for a shot that's wide. Barrasso plays it to the right wing boards, and Murphy tipped it to the line where Sutter held it in. Here's Steve Smith. Graham is open in front. The pass across is picked off by Murphy, and out come the Penguins. 30 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power, or penalty, I should say. And then Chicago will be a man short. Steve Smith dumps the puck in. Steve Larmer goes to the corner for Chicago. Larmer looks to Noonan, and a nice play. Breaking it up was the rookie McEachran. Larmer sets up Smith again. Smith over center. He'll bounce one in toward Barrasso and scoops it up and holds on for a faceoff. Still 10.5 minutes remaining in this opening period. The score is 2-2. Boy, was he focused this morning. I thought he was so sharp in the morning workout. And it was a long and hard workout that the Blackhawks went through. A lot of skating and a lot of shooting drills. And Belfort, I thought, was really sharp. But at game time, that second one by Stevens drove him from the net. The Blackhawks came right back, and now Yager lays the puck to the corner for Mario Lemieux. To the blue line for Francis. Across to Ulf Samuelsson. Pittsburgh. On a power play here. They've lost control of the puck, and Brian Noonan shoots it down the ice. 23 seconds remaining in the elbowing penalty to Chris Chelios. Kirk Graham has scored twice for Chicago. Jaromir Jagr and Kevin Stevens have the goals for the Penguins. Pittsburgh out of the zone. Jagr has given the puck to Stevens. To Lemieux is at the line waiting. Mario Lemieux sets up Larry Murphy. Lets it go. Blocked by Kravchuk. The rebound is banged in. Lemieux. Once more, the crowd is silenced. Mario Lemieux has scored for Pittsburgh.
Chris Chelios came out of the box. 4 seconds is all that was left in his penalty. Skated right to Andy Van Hellemond to give him a piece of his mind. But the goal is already up on the board. Stevens to Lemieux, and watch Lemieux wait for somebody to come. Finally, Larry Murphy is across the blue line. And even with Frank Kuchera going down, number 6 of the Blackhawks in front of him, Larry Murphy was able to get it through. And look at the outnumbered situation the Penguins had in front when Kuchera drifted out to block the shot. That left 3 Penguins and only Steve Smith for the Blackhawks back in deep.
Lemieux with his 16th. 10 minutes, 13 seconds into this opening period. Pittsburgh leads 3-2. Dominic Hasek leaves the puck behind the net, and Kravchuk plays it up off the boards. Larry Murphy traps it for Pittsburgh, goes cross ice. Chelios reached up to knock it down and now has it on the stick with a pass here to Brent Sutter. Kirk Graham, 3 Penguins back. Graham is bumped solidly by Ulf Samuelsson, and the puck ends up in the center ice area. Ryan Trache trying to get it to Tocchet. It goes back to Loney, but the play is offside at the Chicago blue line. So it's been Jagr, Stevens, and Lemieux for Pittsburgh.
Drops it to Murphy, showing the problem for the Blackhawks. If we stop right here, you can see that the Blackhawks have 3 men out here. They only ever had 1 guy back. That wasn't enough. The Penguins were able to overload, and there you can see 3 Penguins and only one Blackhawk, Steve Smith. Naturally, you would anticipate this type of reaction from the Pittsburgh Penguins bench. They get used to Mario's goals, but they get bigger as the season wears on, and we are into June.
That was the 8th power play goal in the playoffs for Mario Lemieux. He has 2 shorthanded goals as well. Only 6 of his 16 goals now have been scored at equal strength. He gets the big one. Kjell Samuelsson around of Troy Loney. Loney banks it off the skates of Yager, and at center ice, Busquets just turns it right back into the Pittsburgh zone. Kjell Samuelsson backs the touch up, and that's an icing against Chicago. Just joined us. Pittsburgh opened the scoring. Chicago tied it. Pittsburgh went ahead. The Blackhawks tied it up at 2. And now Mario Lemieux's shorthanded goal has put Mike Keenan's team down 3-2. Still a lot of time left in this hockey game.
And if this first period is any indication, Mike Keenan is going to try and allow his best players to win this for him. Jeremy Roenick is double shifting. Chris Chelios, when he hasn't been in the penalty box, he's been on the ice just about all the time. He's out there now. Steve Larmer, a lot of ice time. Steve Smith, he's going with the horses.
A lot of ice time for Mike Keenan. That's what he just popped into his mouth. An ice cube. Trick picked up from the master, Scotty Bowman. Penguins have Lemieux out on the ice with Kevin Stevens and Rick Tocchet. But up come the Blackhawks. Marchment with a shot that went wide. Barrasso handles it. And he lets to cover as the Hawks came rushing in.
You know, Jigs, I think the most underrated aspect of Tom Barrasso's play in this series and in the last series is really his reads of the play and what I call the win-2 factor. He doesn't necessarily always go out to try and cut off the puck when it's really ripped around the boards. His anticipation and his reads are perfect. When it's too hard, he doesn't waste any energy. He allows it to go all the way around behind him to the far board. So it's not as if he just blindly attempts to get everything that's near him. He picks and he chooses and he reads the play and he knows whether or not he can get to it. And I think that's something that we haven't talked a lot about. When he's handled it well. But he hasn't always tried to handle it.
That's the key, I think. So often you talk about the great goaltenders in the NHL right now. Patrick Roy's name comes to mind. Andy Bowles, Grant Fuhr, so many others. Very seldom do you hear Tom Barrasso's name in the same category. Here Chicago has won the draw. Marchment puts it back to the net. Brent Sutter went for it, but tied up with both Samuelsson and the Penguins moving up the boards. Rick Tocchet ran into Kravchuk, but up they come. Across the line is Francis. Cross-ice pass didn't get through as Chelios had the play read. Lemieux was there with him. Now Kravchuk the other way with a drive, just wide of the net. Larmer can't recover at the blue line. The puck is being, or the play I should say, is being called, and the puck brought back out of the Pittsburgh zone for the ensuing faceoff. 8 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in this opening period. So much focus on Chris Chelios following Game 3 of this series. Attack on Larry Murphy, which he maintained was provoked by a cross-check thrown first by Murphy.
He made a brilliant defensive play here, staying exactly in between the passer and Mario Lemieux so he could cut it. As his defense partner Steve Smith takes a breather on the bench, Steve Smith will see a lot of ice time here as well. All Chris Chelios has to do is make sure that he doesn't hurt the Blackhawks' cause. He's a brilliant player. He's good enough to help offensively, defensively. He just has to be smart enough not to hurt them.
Here's Stevens with a shot. Hasek the save, and the rebound is cleared around behind that Chicago net. The Blackhawks move it out with a pass to Dirk Graham. Graham leads the left side. Kravchuk goes in after it. Jocelyn Lemieux tried to get the puck back to him, and Murphy was right on Kravchuk. Roberts, the other Pittsburgh defenseman, recovers. Takes a look and gives it to Mario Lemieux. Lemieux bounces one on into the Chicago zone. They ruled that it hit Tocchet, and that'll be called back on an offside pass. Pittsburgh going to make some player changes as the Lemieux line goes back. Kekrin comes out on the ice with Francis and Phil Bourque.
But we talked about the Chicago Blackhawks getting their defensemen to join the rush. And if you look at this last rush, with Dirk Graham bringing the puck up the ice, he was able to bring it up the center. And then what did he have? He had a winger, and he also had his defenseman, Igor Kravchuk, getting up in the play, and he was able to feed it over to Kravchuk. I mean, that's what we talked about. On the far side, we'll stop right here and show you that Chelios was actually joining the rush on that side. So you got both defensemen joining the rush. That's what the Blackhawks have to continue to do to get the offense on track.
Now out at center ice, Vasquez bounces one in off the glass, was jumped around in front of the net. Newman went to the man, and the puck came loose. Mato trying to tie up. There's a delayed penalty call coming against Pittsburgh. As the Penguins handle it now, they're going to be shorthanded. Referee Andy Van Helleman handing out a penalty, and Chicago goes to the power play.
This is off for roughing, so the Chicago power play will get another crack at it. They went 0 for 5 in Game 3. They've only scored 1 power play goal so far in this series.
Grand total of 15 opportunities. A dozen coming into tonight's game. Make it 14, including the penalty to Walt Samuelson earlier. Only 1 power play goal to show for it. Jeremy Roenick is in the middle. Steve Larmer on the left. Ryan Noonan on the right for the Blackhawks. Kravchuk and Chelios on the points. The Hawks win the draw. Larmer feeds it back to Chelios. Into the corner. Noonan turns, comes off the boards, feeds Chelios. Right back to Noonan at the top of the circle. Fake, centers it across. There's the drive, and it hit the post. Kravchuk trying to put it in front again. Roenick battles for it. Dug it loose, and Chelios will recover. Pass now to Kravchuk. Into the corner to Noonan. Noonan backs up toward the line and feeds it wide of the net. Larmer and Roenick back to the goal line. Larmer sets up Chelios with Kravchuk. And it goes to Noonan. Now stop escapes and cleared to the line and outside the line. The Hawks will set up again at center.
Boy, the Hawks have to find a way to get it in front. Larmer and Roenick are really paying the price in front, but they're waiting for it to come. It just hasn't gotten there.
Larmer partially checked by Larry Murphy, who recovers the puck and slams it out of the zone. Here's Kravchuk. Pittsburgh in the middle of a player change. Lemieux has come out to help kill the penalty now. Kirk Graham has dumped it in for Chicago, and Marchment races in after it. Puck comes to the left wing board. Jeremy Roenick back to Chelios. Chelios pulled it away from Lemieux, gave it to Graham, into Roenick, had to reach behind and couldn't regain control. Graham back to Chelios. Smith with him. Chelios with a shot that's deflected up into the seats. 24 seconds all that's left in the Chicago power play.
Boy, Chris Chelios thought he had lots of room to let that shot go, but you can never underestimate the reach of Mario Lemieux. He'll give it to you and take it away as well as anybody. And on this sequence, it was Brian Marchment who was put out there to be in front. A guy that's quite a bit bigger and quite a bit stronger than Jeremy Roenick. But there's Roenick at the side of the net. And the reason he's on his knees like that is he is tired. Man, did he work hard on that shift and took a ton of abuse in front. And keep in mind, that's usually a spot for a Tim Kerr at 230 pounds or a Kevin Stevens at 218 pounds. Jeremy Roenick is about 172 pounds right now. That's not a lot to be a power forward standing in front taking that beating.
Well, by comparison to the Pittsburgh forward, Chicago is small. Puck dumped in here by the Blackhawks, and Barrasso dumps it out. Which is something the Hawks talked about. Especially after Game 3, every time they dumped it in, Barrasso moved it out. 25 seconds of the Blackhawks power play. Kravchuk rushing with the puck. Page Noonan on the left wing boards. Into Brian Marchment. Marchment from a sharp angle, shot it wide, and Kravchuk recovers at the right point. Dumps it in around the boards. Pack volleyball it out of the air. It's held by Kravchuk for the shot that's flat. The rebound was there, and Brent Sutter couldn't get it teed up. And again, the Hawks are forced down the ice. That will do it on the penalty. Roberts ready to step back out on the ice, and the Hawks on the center ice. Stefan Matteau is met by Roberts. Vasquez chases it back into his own zone, turns it up the boards for Matteau. Lemieux failed to pick up the pass for Chicago. Steve Smith backs into the zone. He's giving it to Stefan Matteau. Trache picks up that check. And the Penguins pick up the puck out in center ice. Vasquez and Trache tie up one another. That allows the Blackhawks to recover and dump it in. Shell Samuelson turning on the forecheck of Grimson. And the Penguins just shoot it down the ice. Steve Smith will go back. And we have an icing call against the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this first period. Pittsburgh leads 3-2.
All cars are made with sheets of metal. But one of these sheets is actually a sandwich of steel, resin, and steel used by Lexus to help quiet the cabin of the LS 400. Care to guess which one?
Look at the Chicago bench. The whole gang is here tonight for Sports Channel America. Let's check in with our John Davidson.
As you can see, I'm sitting in the referee's locker room. They're, of course, on the ice working the game. And I've got an old buddy here, the Stanley Cup. It's been batted around quite a bit over the years. Names from the inside of the top all the way down. And what's a problem this year is there's no more room for names. So whoever wins this particular series, what will be done to get their names on the Stanley Cup is this ring right here on the top portion of the wide part of the cup. It will be removed. And then a new ring will be put in for the next number of years for those players and coaches. What is kind of sad about it, though, is right here, 1940, the last time the New York Rangers won a Stanley Cup, and all those names, great hockey names, will be removed and put into the Hall of Fame. And as an old New York Ranger, I think that's kind of sad. Jakes, back to you.
That is sad news, J.D.
You got any Kleenex, Jakes?
Oh, man.
I'm crying here.
Well, just can we get a protest? Can we sign a form? Larmer from the draw, shoots one, didn't get it on target. And Francis lugs it out for Pittsburgh.
JD was that emotional. Gosh.
Yager looks to Trottier. Yager driving on Kravchuk. Look at the strength of this 20-year-old. Fights off how many Blackhawks? But then ended up putting the puck back inside his own blue line. Now long pass up ahead. Here's Trottier to the backhand. Tapped it on target and Hasek makes the save and covers the puck. Yager putting on a clinic again. He scored the opening goal tonight. Kid who will be a free agent at the end of next season.
Well, he's got such tremendous leg strength. You need upper body strength as well, but when you get into a situation with a guy leaning on you, how you position your skates and how you're able to hold him off with your legs. And as Yager went wide, Kravchuk tried to take him. Then Kravchuk ended up getting help from Brent Sutter. They were both leaning on him for a minute. And you could see that Kravchuk didn't have him at all.
John Davidson talked about Mario Lemieux's folks being here. Yager's mom and dad are back in Pittsburgh. We asked him about bringing them here for the game, and he said, oh, no. He said, they do not speak English. I would have to worry about them. I'm here to worry about game.
And you know what? That's a legitimate point. I mean, a lot of the players have traveled with their wives and their families, and it's up to their family members, whether it be wives, moms, and dads, to realize that they don't need any distractions at all. And I'm sure Yager's parents were the first ones to understand. But that's a concern for players this time of year. You need to focus so intensely, you can't afford any distractions. And I'm sure he would worry about his mom and dad.
Oh, yeah. Noonan and Kevin Stevens battling for a puck that pops loose behind the net. Came right out in front, and the Hawks didn't jam it in as Graham had a chance for his third of the period. Now they tell Graham, he scores! If you will. Oh my, look at this.
This is incredible. And the reason there are so many here is that they were a souvenir that was given out tonight. But I've never seen anything like this. There must be 250 of them if you look at all areas of the ice.
And still they rain down. A hat sale at Chicago Stadium.
Well, now they can recycle them and use them for another giveaway for Game 6.
It doesn't say Blackhawks on these hats. Let's take another look at the goal. The setup that's completed by Graham.
It was a tremendous play, and Dirk Graham has obviously been a problem for the Penguins, but one thing that happened in the corner when Brent Sutter had the puck, Kevin Stevens went to him and he peeled away from him. When you're the first guy there, everybody reads you going to the coverage. When you peel off, somebody else has to scramble. And that means a guy like Dirk Graham can get in behind you. And he did that behind Larry Murphy. Well, I'll tell you what, Dirk Graham is a proud captain, and he deserves to be extra proud right now. That's a close-up look at the hat that was given away. And the attitude is a little different in this building tonight compared to 2 nights ago.
That is a great buzzword for a giveaway in a game that a team has to win to stay alive. It's 3-3 at Chicago Stadium. 3 minutes and 42 seconds left in the first period. a pretty good mock-up. Still the Hats are on the ice at Chicago Stadium. The giveaway.
Now we want to show you how Dirk Graham got away from his check in the neutral zone to try and chase down the Penguin that was moving back into the zone to get the puck. Now the Penguins had full control on this play. Graham is at the bottom of your screen. Matteau, or at least Lemieux, is charging in there. The Penguins dumped the puck around to the other side, only to have it gobbled up by the Blackhawks. So the Blackhawks were able to keep the play alive, and the Penguins actually had a couple of chances to get this out of the zone. Finally, the play went back into the corner, and if we stop right here, I'll show you that Kevin Stevens is the guy I was talking about. He was going into the corner. He decided to peel off and come back here, and you can see the disadvantage he put all of his teammates at, because the next guy that had to get in there was Mario Lemieux. Meanwhile, Graham is waiting here. He comes out, parks at the side of the net, and waits for the pass to come through. And it came through perfectly. I don't think Larry Murphy saw him coming. And Kevin Stevens had a chance to go to his man, and he peeled away from him, and that was the defensive problem for the Penguins.
It set a record for the period. Yager opened the scoring in 1 minute and 37 seconds in, and then the goals came in a hurry. Dirk Graham for Chicago to tie it. 12 seconds later, Kevin Stevens scored for Pittsburgh, and they led 2-1. Dirk Graham scored at 6:51, and we had 3 in 30 seconds in a new record. Then Mario Lemieux's power play goal regained the lead for Pittsburgh, and Dirk Graham has just tied it up at 16-18 on this first period of play. Now the teams are lined up at center ice. Pittsburgh has outshot Chicago 9-7. The goals, by the way, on Graham's third, the assist, I should say, went to Noonan and Jocelyn Lemieux. Pittsburgh controlling the draw. Mario Lemieux with a pass that was tipped by Marchment as Tocchet went for it, and Tocchet and Marchment collide. And the Penguins right on it. Kevin Stevens put it in front. Dirk Graham reaches back, trying to knock it away from Mario Lemieux. And around to Chelios. He's picked up by Kevin Stevens, but Noonan recovers the puck. Flips it high in the air, out through center, and Larry Murphy drops back quickly. Dirk Graham in to forecheck him. Penguins able to move it to the line, and now Tocchet works it out through center ice, and Kravchuk comes back for Chicago. Gave it to Brent Sutter, to Brian Marchment. Marchment driving on Larry Murphy, gets checked at center. Here's Mario Lemieux, can't get around Chelios, but he did flip the puck up ahead. A break for Stevens. Comes in on Kravchuk and shot it wide. Wow. Now Chelios sends Brent Sutter on into the Pittsburgh zone. He's rubbed up by all Samuelson's jet. Samuelson smartly, long pass to Mario Lemieux. There's Tocchet. The pass is there, and Tocchet chipped it wide. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the period. Murphy at the right point. Centers it across, and that's tipped by Chelios. Recovered by Mario Lemieux. The Rick Tocchet. Sutter pumped him on the boards. Down goes Tocchet. The stick came up into Sutter's face, and the play continues. Larmer with a pass to Kravchuk. Kravchuk a long shot. Bounces right out in front to Tom Barrasso, but there to pick it off is Pack. Trying to catch the Hawks in a player change. This is Sean McEachran across the line. Shoots one and a skate save by Hasek. Bill Bork took the man, but the Hawks take the puck. Ronick lays them through center. It's wide open. The pedal to the metal now. Ronick, back it goes. Checked on the play is Goulet, and up come the Penguins. Ron Francis and McEachran over the line. 3 Hawks get back. Francis with a shot that turns into a glove save. Hasek dropped them out. Noonan around the board.
I got to tell you, Dick, this is not Chicago's style, though. Sooner or later, if they play a running gun, they're going to get burned.
Right now, they regain control of the puck and start out. Here's Jeremy Ronick across the line. Drops it to Goulet for a shot that was blocked. Oh, Samuelson got the stick on it. Hawks failed to get it to the line. Yager has it for Pittsburgh. The pass to Bork. Bill Bork shoots off left wing, and Chelios got a check to that. Jeremy Ronick recovers in his own zone.
Man, what a stick exchange between Ulf Samuelsson and Michel Goulet. Goulet ended up finishing it off by simply lowering the lumber right on Samuelsson's head.
Now Loney with a drive. It's turned aside by Hasek. Dirk Graham bangs it out of the zone. Marchment failed to touch it at center. Icing waves off. They rule the Penguins could have gotten there. Murphy has it in his skates.
1 minute to
Murphy passes it up to Trache. Now to Yager. Through center ice. 3 Hawks stretched out at the line. Yager gave it to Loney. Into Yager. Yager turns on to Chera. Makes the pass to Murphy. Across to Trache. Ryan Trache's shot went through but wide. Impact started in. Couldn't get there. And Dirk Graham sends Lemieux up ice. Jocelyn Lemieux a backhander. Blocked by Barrasso. And Trache cleared the rebound. That ends up in the seat. 38 seconds left in a wild
this is what these people have waited to see. What an exciting brand of playoff hockey. You can say what you want about strong defensive presences on the ice, and there's something to be said for that, but this is where the entertainment is, right here. See, Brent Sutter's got a real smashed-up mouth, and he is arguing to Andy Van Hellemond that a penalty should have been called on Rick Tocchet. They had been piled up in a heap to the right of Dominik Hasek, and Brent Sutter took a real good lick with Rick Tocchet's stick right in the mouth. We'll pick it up behind Dominik Hasek, and you can see that Sutter tugged Rick Tocchet down. I think Tocchet decided to go for a little bit of a dive, and was it when he was going down? I still didn't see it. I was watching the pull.
Battle lines have been drawn. 38.2 seconds remaining in this opening period. You see the gash on Brent Sutter.
Gosh, a reverse angle look at a beautiful pass from Dirk Graham to Jocelyn Lemieux. He is in almost by himself, but he couldn't bring it to the forehand to shoot because Brian Trottier was cutting him off. So Brian Trottier's presence kept Lemieux in the backhand. He just tried to chip it at Tom Barrasso, hoping to get it through, possibly hoping for a rebound. But Brian Trottier was able to get to the rebound first.
Sutter wins the draw, getting the puck to Dirk Graham, and immediately Bob Airy turned him around. Stanton ties up Graham over on the far boards. The puck still in play, still moving. Francis and Sutter, some battle. Now Chelios and Old Samuelson are together. And the whistle has sounded. 22.2 seconds. Deuces wild on the scoreboard. 2-2-2, the time remaining in the period. 12 shots for Pittsburgh, 8 for the Blackhawks, and the game tied 3-3. Glad you're able to join us this Monday night here on Sports Channel America. Paul Samuelson has thrown his weight around in the period. A year ago, when Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup with that 8-0 shelling of the Minnesota North Stars in Game 6, it was Oak who scored the opening goal and thus the Stanley Cup winner. Pittsburgh wins tonight. Who will it be? Chicago extends the series. Who will it be for the Blackhawks? Ron Francis trying to move the puck out of the zone. Couldn't get it by Dirk Graham. Graham and Brent Sutter battle on the board. So does Chelios. The three Penguins are Stanton, Francis, and Lemieux. Now they break up. Francis from back of the net. There's the zone, and that will be the end of the opening period. 3-3 is the score. Let's check in with John Davidson.
Kids, by far the most emotional, by far the quickest pace period of the series to this point. 3 times Pittsburgh took the lead, 3 times Chicago came back to tie. Dirk Graham twice able to sneak from behind the net to score. I think it's been a riot. It's been a lot of fun. Back to you.
And the fun will continue from Chicago Stadium. Our intermission is just around the corner. 3-3 is the score. Don't you dare leave us now.